Hey, Mr. Spiffy here. Welcome to the Spiffy's World. This channel, as I said previously, is going to be dedicated to just, random reviews, things that don't have anything really to do with wrestling, and just vlogs and going out and having fun. Today, I'm doing my first review of a concert I've been to. I actually meant to do one of these for System of a Down back when I went there in May, but, it didn't happen. Too many things happened all at once. It just got very, very, very busy, and I was never able to get it done. Life goes on. 2 nights ago, I went and saw to the 2011 98.5 KFOX Khinsert, which they call it the Khinsert because it's hosted by Greg Kihn of the Greg Kihn Band, and he's their morning drive DJ. He's for our local radio station, KFOX. So, this was 4 bands, show lasting a good 5 hours or so. Started about 6 o'clock in the evening. We started off with the Greg Kihn Band, who I had never seen them perform, and I really wasn't familiar with what songs actually were released. The only song I was familiar with was Jeopardy, which is a song that Weird Al parodied called I Lost on Jeopardy. So that was about as far as I was familiar with their music. I was more familiar with Greg Kihn because he's always been my morning drive DJ. From when I used to wake up in the mornings, I would wake up to him in the morning, and that would be that. They did a pretty good job. They jammed through their set. I mean, they only gave themselves about 20 minutes to get through. So they piled about 5 songs into 20 minutes, did it as fast as they could, didn't really stop, no BS. And then we had a break, moved on to Kansas. And Kansas, I'd never seen them in concert. My mom had seen them before. They're very enjoyable to listen to. And Kansas literally rocked the house. I mean, they turned the bass so much that it literally was shaking the chairs, and I was just like, wow, because I hadn't experienced that in a concert before. Maybe it's just because I've never sat close enough to experience it, I don't know, but it was just like, it literally rocked the house. So Kansas was a very enjoyable performance, and I have to say, for being the first time I've seen them, I'd like to see more. I'd like to get a chance to hear more. They seem like they have some good energy, and I like a positive energy in a band. Speaking of positive energy in a band, leads on to number 3. And this one hurts me to say this, but number 3 was 80% Yes. And I call them 80% Yes because they're missing John Anderson. They've got a guy whose name is Benoit. Yeah. Let's keep the suffocation jokes aside, okay? A guy named Benoit, and Benoit, he was part of a cover band, and he sounded enough like John that they decided to make him part of the band and stick him out on stage when John got sick. Problem was, the band and John had a falling out. They wouldn't let John back, and they decided that they wanted to stick with Benoit, and they wouldn't let John do a few shows on the road with them and other stuff like that because John had to put up a limited schedule for himself. This hurt the energy of the band, and honestly, I was getting kind of down in the dumps during that one. Of course, I was already down in the dumps. I'll explain that in a few. Let's go over. The tempo of the songs was at least a beat or 2 behind. It was definitely slower than usual, and it had to be for Benoit to be able to keep up. It's just that was the way it was. So having to take it a step or 2 slower, that kind of threw it off. And for someone who's an average Yes fan, who's maybe knows Owner of Only Heart or listened to some of their songs that have come and gone over the years, they probably wouldn't have noticed. But someone like me, who's been listening to Yes since I was in the womb, literally, yes, literally, and I notice, people like me notice that stuff. And there's a certain amount of loss of energy. These guys, their age is really starting to show, and some of the lifestyle that they lived is really starting to catch up with them. You got Alan, who's the drummer. He's starting to look like William Hartnell. Got the long hair, losing the hair just like me, gone white. I expect him to, have a stick and start waving it at people. You got Chris Squire, who's looking more and more and more like Scott Hall, and I'm not talking about Scott Hall from Razor Ramon. I'm talking Scott Hall, the drunken incident a few months back. It's just bad. He's jowly. He's looking. His energy's off, and he's not looking right. And then there's Benoit, who is kind of a pale comparison to John. Yes, with Benoit, it is kind of like having a pizza without cheese. You know, sure, it's still edible, and sure, you know, it's probably going to taste okay if you still have toppings you like on it, but a key ingredient is missing. The kind of the glue that binds it together, and that key ingredient is the cheese, or in the case of Yes, John Anderson. He always brought forth the spiritual energy that came out of the band Yes, and that was sorely lacking out on the concert. So, and what I feel though is it's even worse is it's not just removing your cheese. Let's say you're used to having a pizza that's made with all natural mozzarella, the highest quality ingredients. And then the pizza parlor that you've always gone to that made it with the highest quality ingredients suddenly decided to make it with processed cheese that's oily and doesn't taste quite right. It's still okay. It still sort of tastes like mozzarella, but it's not the same. It's a pale imitation. And that really is what it comes down to. Now that I've kind of ripped into him a bit, let me say the positive points of this. This show for them, and performance for them, was significantly better than 2 years ago when Benoit was fresh to the group and John had just left and everybody's energy was just shit. And seriously, they put on a better performance all in all, but their performance, you know, I felt like Benoit was just he still feels like he's a puppet on stage, like a puppet master. It's just there, and he's singing, and he sings all right, and he moves all right, but he doesn't move because he's being inspired by the music. He moves because he thinks he has to move, and it looks forced. And when it looks forced, it doesn't feel right. That's just the way it is. It's kind of like Kelly running the ropes. It just doesn't feel right. And I know for a fact that it doesn't feel right and it's wrong when I look over 4 seats from myself and my mom, who's been watching Yes in concert since she was about 16, 17 years old. And she's taking photographs and loading them on her phone, and for generally paying more attention to her cell phone than she is to the actual concert. Her only interest in the concert was snapping some photos and loading it up the pictures. And that's sad because 5 years ago, Mom would have handed me her phone and said, "You snap all the photos." She wouldn't have asked me like she did at the concert. She's like, "Do you think you could?" You know, she kind of hinted at it, but then just did it herself. No, she would have handed me the phone and gone, "Rob, do this. I'm going to dance." And get up and she danced. It just doesn't inspire her, it doesn't move her, and, you know, she needs John for that. That's just the way it is. If I sound biased, I'm sorry. You know, when you grow up on a certain something, you kind of get used to it being a certain way, and, you know, biasness is always going to slip in. The final band of the night, which was a huge difference between them and 80% Yes, was Styx. Styx closed out the night, and man, do these guys have energy. The energy that should have been there with Yes, 150% there with Styx. Styx went out and rocked it. Everybody was on their feet for Styx. Everybody else was sat down for the other 3 bands. For Styx, everyone was on their feet for the entire time, unless they just couldn't stand. And people were, you know, yelling, screaming, singing along. The energy, it went from being to yeah! And that's something that we needed at the end, especially because I was feeling really down. And I'll tell you why I was feeling really down. Because I found out that the haunt that my group was going to start, unfortunately, so our haunt completely gone, and now I'm looking down the barrel of not having a place to actually haunt this year, which depresses the fuck out of me. Because that's a release for me. Getting out on stage and getting to scare the crap out of people, that's a release for me. And I haven't gotten to do it in a year, and that's going to make me very sad that I may not be able to do it. I'm going to go down to the Great America audition tomorrow, but I also am getting a second job. I've got my main job, and if they tell me that they, you know, they can't be flexible for me, you know, and they tell me I'm sorry, you know, you need to flex for us, and you know, and I'll do the best I can. But if they tell me no, you know, that bridge might get burnt. That's just the way it is in life, unfortunately. and I'll just have to live vicariously through my friends this year as they haunt and get a chance to enjoy themselves doing that. So I got a little upset, and a woman set me off, and right before Styx went on, I had a breakdown, and I've had a lot of debt lately, and I'm just trying to make by, and you know, there's a lot of stress in the world for me, and I'm hoping that things will turn around. Sorry, I got off on a tangent there, but that's what this channel's about, is, you know, telling you, is like, when you have $13,000 worth of debt, come back and talk to me, you know, we could swap horror stories. But Styx made everything a lot better. The energy was better. I was able to release a lot of the upset that I was feeling that night, and I was able to relax and truly enjoy some music. Those guys really are together. They put together a lot of energy, and it was a really great performance. And it would be interesting in my mind to see Styx do a tour with Iron Maiden. I can't say that they would work well together, and their audiences are a little distinctly different, although I'm an audience of both. You know, it is a distinct difference, you know, the energy from Styx and the energy from Maiden. They're both really high, but they're both really different. And as much as I love Maiden, Maiden's a bit greedy for stage time. You know, they want their space. But they both put on a good performance, and they go all over the stage together. So the two of them would have at least a similar energy level, and it might actually bring off something really nice. So in the end, Styx made up for the fact that 80% Yes was... Well, the only good song for 80% Yes was the new one that they made for their new album together, because that one actually felt like they were working together, and that was the only time Benoit looked natural on stage. You know, what can I say? Well, I don't know when I'm going to get to another concert again. I was hoping to go to Monday Night Raw this coming Monday. That's not going to happen. There's a lot, it's probably going to be TSO in November. I hope you enjoy this new channel. You know, watch for the vlogs. I'm working on getting my friend Dennis's wedding together and getting the video for that. So I hope you enjoy what you see here, and feel free to comment. Let me know what you'd like to see from me, hear from me. You know, I'm here. We're here. This is just our lives. Thanks for watching.